Well, who's on first?
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk. Who? The guy on first.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who is on first?
What are you asking me for? I'm asking you.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Who is on First. Thank you guys for listening. That is Brian. That is Michael. I am Tim Ellebrook, and we are stoked. This episode is going to be all about the World Baseball Classic because it officially started this past weekend, and it has been some of the most fun, amazing, unhinged, disappointing celebration that this sport could ever happen. So I'm stoked. I'm excited. How are you guys doing?
Go for it, Mike.
Doing great, man. Like you said, you kind of set it up well. It's the World Baseball Classic has lived up to every bit of the hype that it had coming in, and probably more so so far through these first few games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought, right? Like meaningful baseball before the season actually starts would amp you up for the regular season. I mean, I know they've been doing this periodically, but like, let's throw out the rules, baby. No more need for 3 years in between. Let's just have this every year.
Right.
I like that.
All right. Before we get started, I would just say if you guys could do us a favor, give us a follow or subscribe and like in all the social media places. We're getting ready to get on Instagram and TikTok and the real content. TBD. So I guess be on the lookout for that whenever I feel like doing it. All right, fellas. The first question I got for you, we're going to jump right in. There is a quote from Juan Soto from, I think it was yesterday's game, which would be Sunday's. He says, "I've been on some great teams. 2019 and 2024 were amazing, but this has got to be the top of the top. You have your whole family, the whole DR cheering for you. There's nothing better than that." So my question is, does the WBC mean more to players than the World Series does?
I mean, look, I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, not to like play both sides of the fence. Sure, there are players I think that it has more meaning for, but I think the majority is still going to fall in line with until you win a World Series. Like as much as you love your country, like I think there's pride. I think they're very close. It's a 1A, 1B situation. But for the majority of players who have not had that title, I'm telling you, they want the title. Now, if they've already got a World Series title and this is like that next notch for them, absolutely. They may answer differently. But, yeah, I mean, again, at least on the grand stage, the World Baseball Classic right now is still relatively new. I'm not saying it won't gain enough traction that it does compare in the Olympic style. I mean, I think there's such an allure when it comes to this idea of you're nationally playing against other nations, those type of things. Because, I mean, you look at what the NHL has done with like the Four Nations Classic, things like that. It's becoming more and more popular. So I think, yes, it will grow to that point where some players, like I think of like an O'Neal Cruz, right? We were talking a little bit about it before. Like right now, because he's on the Pirates, he probably thinks this is everything. I mean, it affords him an opportunity to play in World Series style environments because he just hasn't been able to with the Pirates right now. And so, yeah, this is going to mean everything to him, or someone like Soto who's played at the grandest stage and has got it, all of those things. Like, yeah, I think this is a big deal. And as great as it is for someone like Bobby Witt, though, I think he'd look at you and go like, man, I want this, but I want a World Series title more. That's just me. I mean, we can keep talking about it, but I'm going to let Michael talk a little bit.
Yeah, no. Brian, you and I are thinking along the same lines. Don't get me wrong. The World Baseball Classic is phenomenal, but I'll take even, for instance, Bryce Harper. Here's a guy who's never gotten a World Series, literally came out and said, the World Baseball Classic is amazing, but it's not the Olympics. And I would go as far to say, when it comes to baseball, the World Series means more than the Olympics, obviously, because the Olympics went away, and that's part of the reason we have the World Baseball Classic
Right.
now. But yeah, it's completely circumstantial as well for some of these guys. You know, a guy like Kike Hernandez is like, he's guys got 3 World Series or something ridiculous now. Yeah, for him to come out and say, "Oh, this means more." Well, it doesn't mean a lot because you've played in 5 World Series. Go ask a guy who's played for, you know, a Paul Goldschmidt or somebody like that who's played in the league for 100 years, you know, which would mean more to him to win the World Baseball Classic this year or win the World Series this year. He's probably going to tell you the World Series because he spent his entire life building up towards this. But, you know, at the same time, we get some of these, you know, minor leaguers, things like that, that this World Baseball Classic means absolutely everything because realistically, they're probably never going to play in a World Series. And so, you know, this is their World Series to represent their country on the biggest stage. And we see it occasionally where a big upset happens or something. And just the emotion from those guys is absolutely unreal to see. And like I said, we're splitting hairs here because I love the World Baseball Classic. I don't want to have to pick between the two. It's, you know,
Right.
because both are absolutely incredible to watch. But in my opinion, I would say the World Series matters more, just because I feel like the MLB is seen as the best league in the world, all the best players. The World Baseball Classic, you've got some teams out there that are made up of, no offense, electricians and teachers. Amazing to watch, but you're not facing all of the best competition every single night. Whereas in professional baseball, you are there in the MLB. So going that full 162 plus then, you know, the 20 games in the playoffs or whatever it takes, to me matters more. But the World Baseball Classic, this whole thing setting up, it is so much like the Olympics. It means a ton to the players. And it's clearly picking up steam for fans and players alike these last couple of years.
So I set the question up just because I knew it would be funny, but to me it's either or it's both and. It's not either or.
Yeah.
I don't think, as much as I've teased you guys about this all the time, I don't think you can pick one or the other, because I think it means different things to different people and different things to different countries. One of the best things, I mean, there's so many good things about it, but one of the best things, like you said, Michael, is there's so many players that get to participate that have the opportunity to do something crazy that they're probably not going to get that much. Like the pitcher for the Netherlands in the game that they lost out, he's playing in independent ball, just trying to get to the major leagues, and he had like 5 strikeouts in 4 innings or something. They still ended up losing the game. He gave up 2 runs versus the one that the Netherlands gave up, but it's still like, it's this guy that's nobody knows about and has so many opportunities. And I just think it's really special. But I also think like one of the things I've heard is a really good thought process to it is the WBC gives the opportunity to be so much more emotional about it, because the MLB in particular and the road to the World Series, let's just talk about the playoffs. Like, that is it's a job and a profession. Now, all of these players are emotionally invested in their craft. Mm-hmm. You can't get there without, but like it's their job. So there's a thing about it that you kind of got to act like a pro. You know what I mean? Like, people are still going to be emotional. You know, if you hit a walk-off home run or like a clutch moment in a playoff game, it's still going to be, you know, an incredible feeling. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's both and. But I do think like this WBC is more special and I say more special, it only happens every 3 years versus every year. There's more opportunity for more players and more teams to do something. You know, like we talk about, like Chinese Taipei is an interesting team, because out of the pool that they're in, they're probably one of the lower ones, especially given that Australia actually seems to be coming out of nowhere and almost advanced. But like the situation that their country is in versus in everything that's going on, how emotional it is, the fact that they just won a game and the way that they won it, like you're not going to get that in the MLB, and that's okay because it's a professional league of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
But it's both and I think it's really special, and I think that's also means you're going to get more from it. But something I think about in that Soto quote is he talked about how the 29 team that he was on, which is the Nationals and when he won the World Series, the Yankees team in the 24 when he was at the World Series, this means more. Now, to your point, Brian, he won the World Series already. So he's already got that ring and that trophy. So this has the opportunity to be somewhat different. But at the same time, like, I think about Vladdy or Caminero with the home run that he had when he literally sprinted around the bases screaming and yelling. I don't think you're ever going to see that type of emotion in MLB because of the opportunity and that it affords players that there's only 2 teams in the World Series. There's 30 teams, 20 teams in this, even though it's not elimination games yet. But I think it's really special, and it's both and. But I do think this is more emotional versus the other one's more professional, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I won't argue that idea. I mean, I think what the Baseball Classic is doing, which I enjoy, is allowing more emotion to be shown on a day in, day out basis within baseball. I think it's needed. I mean, it is, when we talk about baseball, and I think I love this aspect about baseball, is it's a grinding sport because it is 162, and then you've got, a couple months of playoffs that you're walking through. It's not this, you could say the same thing to a degree about the NHL on some parts. And that's what I think, I keep bringing that comparison up because I think they're getting it right. Both of these leagues are getting it right because they're going to the national level instead of doing like these all-star games or these Pro Bowl-esque type of things. And that's not any disrespect to the other leagues. I mean, obviously the NFL is making crap ton of money, so who cares, in that regard. But like, I love this notion, at least for the fan bases, because it does, even if it's for 3 weeks, a month, whatever you want to give it, it's like it creates these rivalries. Like, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but like the idea of Dominican and Venezuela getting ready to play a game, like, all right, or like when the US is going to have to face the Dominican Republic or Japan again, like given the history that has happened, there are going to be these emotions and meaningful games that, you may not get, but I can promise you in the playoffs, we're going to start to see, especially at the MLB level, those important pivotal games, whether it be game 3 in a 7-game series, whatever it looks like, you're going to start to see some of this emotion because we're already seeing it, in a sense, in just regular season, meaningful games. Now, obviously, you can't see it at that level for the entire year because it's going to drain you when you're playing every day or at least 5 out of 7 days of the week. So there are some days you just like, hey, you're going to hit the home run and you're just going to jog around the bases. There's not going to be much emotion. But you better believe in some of these big games, you're going to see some of this. And we've already kind of seen it in some degree, like I said, with the way that batters now start to stare down the ball when they know they pump one out of the park. And we're starting to see it translate to the pitchers, right? A big strikeout, and you see the fist pumps and you see the stare downs. And I'm here for all of that because I think that brings back an edge to the game of baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you bring up a great point there because that's one of the things I hate most about some of the other professional sports is like the competitive edge isn't always there. As far as like you watch these guys go out there and they'll play each other for 40 minutes or something, and then they're just hugging, laughing, having a good time after a game. It's like I miss those old time rivalries where like those teams just straight up hated each other, and I think it's good for the sports. And so you get a little bit of that right now in the World Baseball Classic. There is a little animosity. Yeah, there's some respect there too. But, at the end of the day, if your neighbor is, from whatever country and you're from the U.S., you're going to have a little bit of a rivalry, a little something, a little beef with each other. And it's beautiful because at the end of the day, we all love watching baseball. But, that competitiveness kind of also brings us closer. But you also you mentioned Vladdy. He's a guy I think would be perfect to ask which one matters more because he just had his heart ripped out of his chest, probably in some of the most painful ways there. can be in professional baseball. And, ask him which one's going to mean more. Obviously, post World Baseball Classic, because if you ask him right now, he's probably going to tell you, the WBC for sure. But if you ask him in June, which one would have meant more, between the two, he'll probably give you a little bit better answer. But it's really cool, man. The World Baseball Classic is something special. Like you said, it kind of helps shine light on some folks that maybe don't always have that light on them. Eddie Rosario is a hero for Puerto Rico.
Right.
In the MLB, he's a role player, bench player at this point in his career. And but every time he gets up to bat right now down there in San Juan, all you can hear is Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. It's like this guy's a role player, but he's a superstar down there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of Puerto Rico, it makes me think of that moment, the walk-off home run they had, then the video that Francisco Lindor put out afterwards of him and his kids and his family just like screaming and shouting because that happened.
Yeah.
Vladdy's an interesting point I want to bring up because you're right. He lost they got to Game 7 of the World Series, like one of the best things that you can ever do. The only one team's going to come away from that winning. But at the same time, like, I don't know. So I kind of associate this idea a little more like to everybody in the world. Everybody has a job that they have that they're dedicated to because for so many reasons, but they're being paid to do this job and they have a commitment to it because of a few different things. That's the same thing. These players have signed a contract and are committed to play their best and do their absolute best for this team. But I also feel like there's something different about like playing for home. Because, like, let's just use Vladdy, for instance. He was technically born in Canada, but his family's Dominican Republic, so he's dual citizenship in that instance. But I feel like if you asked him, and we're never going to know because none of us know Vladdy, we're never going to get a chance
I'll
to
call
ask
him up later, don't worry.
Wait a second.
I'll call him up later.
I'm not gonna, we might get the chance to ask him one of these days. But right
That's
now,
right. There you go. See?
I can't call him and ask him.
He's a future friend of the show. Michael just said it. That's right.
Exactly. I feel like the way you can only take by the way that somebody can respond when in interviews or the way you see them. But I've seen more emotion from him in this, 4 or 5 games that they've played so far than I did in that World Series. Not taking away from that World Series because I know it meant a lot. But I guess I'm saying I feel like, and I would assume that playing for the Dominican Republic, which is home to him, is different than playing for a team in Canada. And I could be wrong, but that's just that's the thing that it takes away from me, especially from these Latin players. Like the United States is a very different culture and different place than home is to them. Brazil, Venezuela, they're showing up and doing their best job for St. Louis, Boston, all these teams that, they're paying them to do this, but they also care about the game of baseball. Yep. But when you tell them like, hey, I want you to go home and play for your home, and they're like, yes. Yeah. I don't know. That's just different to me. It's both but that's just different.
No, I mean, and again, I think you're right. I mean, when you look at it, but I also look like, I think what you said is key to this. And again, this isn't an argument because I think you're absolutely right, Tim, in the sense of it's both. It really is. Because, I mean, you think about it from if I was in that perspective, I'd want them both. I'm selfish in that moment. I want the WBC and I want the World Series. Like, I'm not choosing one or the other. They're both and they have their differences. But like, when you like, even going back to Soto's comment, right? Like, this is the best team he's ever been on. Of course it is. Because these are some of the best players in Major League Baseball. You're not going to see this made as a team in MLB. Right. Like, I mean,
that roster's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a no-brainer to me to make that statement. Like, anybody on the U.S. team is going to simply say, this is the best team I've ever played on because, number one, Judge is with me and, the rest of the host of players that is there. I mean, it's just, that's what it is. And I think when you see someone like Vladdy, he gets to be around people where everybody wears the same emotion.
Yeah.
Whereas on an MLB team, not like I think of like Paul Goldschmidt, right? Yeah. He just doesn't have like, that's not going to drive him. I'm not saying he's not passionate in what he does, even with Aaron Judge. Like, I'm not saying he's not passionate. He's passionate because it shows like through the work ethic and the obviously the stat line tells me he's passionate about what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it's not a visible passion. But for Vladdy, he may be surrounded, and I don't know everybody on the Blue Jays roster, but he's not surrounded by some of those same players that are egging him on and pulling some of that emotion to come out of him. That's why I think there's such beauty in the Baseball World Classic, because it gives an opportunity for us to see some of that emotion from players. And you're absolutely right. I mean, obviously, baseball is important to like the Dominican Republic and Venezuela, and I think even on a level greater than it is in the U.S., even though it's America's pastime in that sense. They're trying to unseat the U.S. That's why, like last year or not last year, but in 23 when Japan won it, that's why you saw the emotion from Shohei. You don't see that on the MLB. It's because for a moment in their minds, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, they were better than the USA. And that's not always gets to be the case in a lot of, baseball. And so when those moments happen, I think that's why some of the emotion plays out a little bit more. And then obviously you've got again, I'm going to keep tagging it up. But when the Dominican and Venezuela play, man, I'm going to be disappointed if there isn't a little bit of fireworks that happen right there on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about too, I don't know if you guys saw the graphic. I think it came up in the U.S., the last game, the U.S. versus Great Britain, but it talked about the different Hall of Fame numbers per country. And the United States has 500 something Hall of Famers, and the Dominican Republic has 100, and then it's Venezuela next. But it's crazy to think about. The DR as a whole is just they're special. But that country has 11 million something in a population, and they have the amount of talent that's coming out of the tiniest little place with that few of people is just that they eat, sleep, and breathe, and gosh,
it's
so much fun.
I mean, if I need a dual citizenship, that's where I'm going, because baseball is life down there, baby.
There's a reason that there are 30 different major league camps in the Dominican Republic. All right, let's wrap that one up. The second one I want to talk about is the Tarik Skubal situation. We'll keep this one kind of short because I want to get to just the fun stuff of the thing. So it came out today. We're recording Monday, March 9th. It came out today that Skubal said he will continue with his original plan and go back to Detroit camp. We're all bummed about it, but it was an interesting set of events. So after his game against Great Britain, which was it Sunday night? No, it was Saturday night, right?
Saturday night.
So he pitched Saturday night, had a great game, gave up a first pitch home run, kept all the drama. After the game was over, he had some quotes from an interview about how he's like, I've never expected this emotion, and I'm going to have to rethink, what I want to do. And what's his name?
Ken Rosenthal.
Ken Rosenthal, thank you. Interviewed him live, and was like, hey, are you rethinking this? And he did a great job in the in-game interview. He's had some PR work for sure. But the world was kind of watching and waiting. He came out this afternoon and said he's going to originally continue with his plan. So my question is to you guys, with him deciding that, so he had the opportunity, if the U.S. would make it to the final, which is not guaranteed, but he would have been the starting pitcher for that final game. Do you think that he's going to regret it, or do you think he made the right decision for himself, do you think he made the right decision?
Michael, you got to go on this one first.
Yeah, I think it's both, to be honest with you. I think he probably makes the right decision as far as there's always a chance he blows out his arm here, completely cost himself hundreds of millions of dollars potentially. But I think there will be a little bit of regret there because none of this is guaranteed for the next World Baseball Classic that we're going to assemble the team that we put together this year. Just for instance, our pitching staff at the last World Baseball Classic had 0 Cy Youngs and had a handful of all-star appearances. This year's pitching staff, which actually lost a couple of guys already, has 6 Cy Youngs and 20-some all-star appearances just amongst the pitching staff. It's insane how much better it is. Also speaks to what this means. I think there is part of him that will end up regretting this, because if they get to the, hopefully it doesn't happen. Obviously, we're all rooting for the U.S. here, but if they get to the championship and they lose, and you're sitting there going, if the two-time Cy Young reigning AL guy would have been pitching, would this have been a different picture, different story? And there's a very good chance, because even what we saw the other night, he grooved a fastball, guy happened to get it, but the rest of his work, that dude was lights out.
Yeah, he was.
Right.
He was absolutely
special.
He was already in mid-season form, as they say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think he's gonna regret it. I mean, I don't think anybody in their right place wouldn't. I mean, because again, going back to your point, Michael, there's no guarantees in 3 years after this that he's even going to be asked to come back. I mean, you look at someone like Trey Turner with all the success he had in 23, and you've got other rising stars, and that's not to discredit Turner. I mean, great ball player.
Yeah.
But when somebody like Bobby Witt says, "Hey, I want to play," or Gunnar Henderson steps up, it's like, it's a no-brainer decision, at least for DeRosa, in my opinion. Like, I like Trey Turner, but there's not a place for you when I've got Bobby Witt and Judge and these other guys. Like, sorry, brother, you're just gonna, unless you want to just ride the bench, there's not really much going on here. And so, like, for me, I mean, I understand it, and this is why I think I hate the dynamic of the World Baseball Classic being during the professional, as far as for the U.S. and the MLB, it's during spring training, because you don't get to see some of these pitchers. It's probably more detrimental to the pitchers than it is the hitters overall.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so they have to think about the longevity of their career at this point. I mean, again, we saw the same thing with Webb in 2023. I mean, he did the one start, or I don't even know if he came out. He was slated to, but because of the contract situation, because of all that, it just wasn't the same. And so here we go. We have probably one of the greatest pitchers in baseball, at least in this period right now where we sit, not able to pitch one of the most meaningful games coming up, at least, for the next 3 years anyway, in baseball, that he's guaranteed, like, for him, he could be guaranteed to be in. Again, we go back to the conversation, World Series or this is a known for him right now. I know he wants to get to the World Series and he wants to make bank, but none of that's guaranteed, because he could go into the MLB season and destroy his arm, and all of a sudden we're talking about, well, you're not going to get paid either way, and you could have had a WBC title at least. I'm just saying. I'm throwing that out there. Maybe he's listening. Maybe he hears it, changes his mind. I was joking with Michael. I don't pray for rain during baseball season a lot, but maybe if it happens to rain when he's supposed to pitch and it makes it work out where he can come back to the U.S., I might take a day of rain. I'm just saying.
I don't know how technically that would work, because I think they have to remove him from the roster, which means another pitcher is going to show up. But at the same time, I don't know if you could. I don't know that that's ever happened.
Come back. Look, I'm sure the WBC is willing to make some exceptions here. They would do it for DR. They're going to do it for us. I mean, just saying.
I think about. I get the decision making, because if he gets hurt, even if it's a small injury, medium-sized injury, or a long-term injury, he's going to have to think about at the end of the season, like, what does he want to do? Does he want to, what are the contracts being thrown out there? And there's so many things that could make, it decide what contract is given or thrown to him. But is he going to be like, do I need to do another year to get a better one? Or is, like, this good enough? But at the same time, I think about, it was a quote from Lance Lynn, who's obviously not in the same category of pitcher. And Lynn...
You sure?
Yeah, well, depends on who you ask, because I like him. I like him. He has a World Series himself before he played the WBC, but there was a quote, I think it was a month or so ago, when, like, this was the talk of the town after it was announced that he's only going to pitch one game. Lynn said in an interview in, like, Foul Territory, he said, if I'm going to get injured, if I'm going to blow out my arm, would I rather blow out my arm in spring training, or would I rather blow it out in pitching for the USA? And I kind of, like, I think about that, and it's like, sure, this one game he could injure himself in one of the games. Is it going to be a spring training game, or is it going to be a the title game, because that's the days that would line up for him.
Yeah.
But you don't know what injuries could do, in 3 months in the middle of the season. But at the same time, man, I feel like it's gonna eat him up, because he even has a quote. He said, "I'm still not at peace with this decision," but which makes me think also like it wasn't just his decision, even though it's his decision. But
he's got people chirping in his ear for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do think that he's gonna regret it. I do know there is another left-handed pitcher that probably wouldn't have stepped out and would have pitched the whole game, but maybe that's going to give him a shot next time. You never know. Maybe he's going to get the call up for it. That would be pretty awesome.
It's hard to say, because the way maybe it's just like I've got rose-colored glasses with Skubal. I just view Skubal as an absolute dog. So the fact that he's walking away, to me, it's a lot more other people are telling him he has to do this or he needs to do this, rather than it's his decision. And the fact that he was even sitting there in the dugout, like you said, he's definitely got some PR training, because there was a big part of him you could tell wanted to be like, I'll be out there with these guys, like I'm ready to go to battle.
Coming off all that adrenaline from that start. I mean, it's interesting when you have Skeens, the other star pitcher, then saying the complete opposites, like, I don't care. This is what I'm doing. This is what there's no other way that I would not pitch for this in this game. Yeah. Which, oh man, that's so tough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I get it. I do.
Right. We're going to see him tonight. I mean, Skeens we'll see tonight. Yep. As you said earlier, we're just ahead of the game. He's going to go tonight. I wonder if there's a world in which they can figure it out, because of the way he's talking. No Skubal, that's all right, because Skeen's going to get that ball, and let's see if he goes all 9.
So I do know, according to the rules, so there are a lot of special rules with pitch counts and stuff.
Yep.
According to the rules, that as long as pitchers get 4 days off, so it's just 4 consecutive days.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's 4 games, he can pitch. And the final game is next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So they would have to skip, a start a couple days. So I don't know if that's detrimental. The Pirates could say, hey, like we need him to pitch, regimented wise. Because I do know if you look at the calendar, opening days, the 27th, I think. And if somebody pitches the final, which is next Wednesday, they only have a start and a half, basically. Yeah. They don't have a full opening day would be 1 start with some extra days rest, which I don't think is ideal for ramp up. But at the same time, like nobody's going to tell Skeens no. He has way more leverage right now. Right. In the situation he has way more leverage.
Yeah.
So I get it. It sucks, but I get it. I just wish. I think he's going to regret it. I really do.
I completely agree.
I regret it for him.
All right, let's jump in. We're going to have some fun and talk about our favorite 3, each of our 3 favorite moments from the tournament so far. Just to remind you guys, as you're listening, just give us a like and a follow and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, wherever you're listening. That would be awesome. Just sharing the love of the game, you know what I'm saying? All right. So we're just going to talk about our 3 favorite moments. If we can squeeze 3, if we can squeeze more in, I'm sure that's what we're going to end up doing. But let's jump onto the board. So I'm going to go with Michael. Hit me with one of your first ones.
It's kind of funny because the U.S. obviously ends up winning the games, but getting to see the 2 young stars for Brazil was really cool. So obviously Manny Ramirez's son. Anyone that's watching this show doesn't know who Manny Ramirez is, go look at that man's stats. Go watch some tape and you'll fall in love. Manny was a baller, and evidently his son's going to be too, because Manny was one of those guys that he just had effortless power, which is hard to match. Some guys swing it all out and stuff. Kyle Schwarber's very similar, like just effortless power. And that first home run that his son hit, that dude just barely threw his bat out there, bam, gone.
Had a great pin job too.
100%. So, and then the 17-year-old kid comes in. The kid's literally still in high school, and the kid's out here throwing 98 miles an hour and gets Aaron Judge to roll into a double play. I mean, I don't know how you 100% that. Like, it was just beautiful to watch.
I feel like Manny Ramirez was great. I feel like he had some help, but he was, he had some effortless swings and power.
Yeah.
Or maybe for some other reasons, but nonetheless.
A little bit
no,
here and there, but I think it was
A little
always
bit
there.
Right. I mean, to me, I think, I mean, that was one I had highlighted. Obviously, Contreras, the 17-year-old high school kid. I mean, there's no place in the world, as far as in the baseball spectrum, that you're going to see a high schooler going up against Aaron Judge. And then to get that type of an outcome, I mean, dude's got stories. He may never make it. I was joking with Michael when we were talking about it days ago. I was like, that kid's already got 6-figure offers from some major league teams to say, hey, you're going to come be a part of this organization, aren't you, my friend?
Supposedly he's slated to go in the draft. That was before the inning started. They said that during warm-up. I think it's crazy because Nicaragua's got some talent. They just can't put it together for this tournament because the last tournament in 23, there was also a Nicaraguan pitcher who the Dodgers picked up in international signing that during that tournament. So like, dang.
And I will say this one. I don't have them in any order, but for me, I think seeing Ozzy Albies hit the walk-off for the Netherlands, like that was just a cool moment. I mean, the call was really good. My only complaint was like, hey, recognize it's a walk-off right off the bat, brother. Like that was gone. It was just, but it like, I think that's what makes it special is again, you just see that moment for a team that obviously when you look at it, we all knew on paper they weren't really going to make a whole lot of noise. I mean, maybe they would surprise a couple people, but they weren't going to be one of the favorites. But then when you have somebody like that just stepping up in a moment like that, I mean, and we're going to see those all around. I mean, I think as we get into the knockouts here, that intensifies. And so when you see some of those just blasts like that, I mean, how fun is it?
Yep.
I'm going to piggyback off of you and just say the walk-offs in general. We've had 3 walk-off home runs so far. If you count the US's, or no, what was the US? The DRs. I think the DR.
Yeah, that just kind of ended the game.
Yeah, because of there's mercy rules in play, and I think the mercy rules are in play for health. No reason to pitch this around for 2 extras when it's not a
Well, they're going to run out of pitch. Some of these teams are going to run out of pitching. I mean,
like
you
Brazil,
don't want,
man.
Right? You do
Poor
not
guys.
want to score to end up like 50-2 just because it has to go a full 9.
Yeah. The walk-offs in general are special because the tournament has yet to have one before this year, and we've had 3 so far.
Right.
The Netherlands having the first one with Ozzy Albies walking off. Puerto Rico had the next one, which I think has probably been the most absolute best, like emotional. Yeah. Talk about from our conversation earlier, like players that aren't going to show up in the MLB probably. Yep. And I think about like we've kind of talked about how Puerto Rico is kind of a little bit of a lesser team because of the insurance issues, like Carlos Correa Lindor can't play. So like this kid who's playing third base probably wouldn't be in the lineup at all.
Right.
If Correa was playing, because Correa would be playing first base if Lindor was playing. So that moment couldn't even been set up at all. But here's this kid. I mean, he's a kid. I think he's like 24, 25. Had the most amazing moment for Puerto Rico. And then the best part of it is after he hit the walk-off, it was an amazing call, by the way.
Yeah.
That call was just top 5 so far of the tournament. But then the whole team floods the field. Like there was I remember seeing one of the Puerto Rican guys from the dugout like jump in the middle of the field as he's like at second base. You can see him in the camera shot. But when you see this kid coming to home plate, Yachty's right there. The manager of the team is right there in the middle of it, jumping up and down. Is this kid who never would have gotten a shot if the players originally they wanted got there? Like, how can you not be pumped?
Yeah,
like it was amazing.
See, what I saw off of that was hilarious. Was Wes Diaz is MLB umpire. He's sitting there trying to get the kid to go across home.
Yeah, he's
plate
like
he's sitting there
like,
doing moves.
Please
and stuff, like,
touch the base so I move. Keep going. Yeah, that was. And then the DR's home run. Who was it? Was it Juan Soto hitting the walk off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even back to our original point, man, the walk off, that they were winning the game no matter what, because they walked off to the mercy rule. They got, I think, 11 points over with that home run in the 7th inning, but the emotion that he felt, of which in a game that was somewhat meaningless because it was a really bad team already, and oh man, gosh, it's so good, so good. Okay, somebody else go to the next one. I'm just gonna get blushing.
I can see you turning red a little bit already. It's nice. No, I mean, another one for me, like the fun of this, I think, you both have kind of said it, I think, is like the unsung heroes, the ones that, Michael, you talked about it, like the sheer fact, again, I go back to the Brazil against US, like there was no hope for them, but those young players stepping up. And I think for me, some of the highlights have been even some of these minor league players, even though there's some in this league that they're very destined to be the next great thing. And I know he's not in the minor leagues. But I'm going to be honest with you. I was cynical of Roman Anthony coming onto the team. Like I wasn't really thrilled with that choice, to replace Corbin Carroll when it was announced. But man, I'm enjoying watching him. Like, I mean, it's fun to see kids like that. I think like even for St. Louis, their own, like Leo Bernal, who's been playing. I mean, he's showing up and he's showing out a little bit, had a big hit, I think, in the game either yesterday or today. I can't remember now, but like
yesterday.
I mean, it's just those moments I think are so big. And even for players, like you think about Italy, who's 2-0, I believe, going in, to the next few games. But you've got players like Sajasi and some of these players that are not, to your point, Michael, from earlier, that are not going to be your everyday players. They're not going to be superstars in MLB, but they get to carry superstar status. I mean, even like, again, Harrison Bader making some plays for Israel out in center field. I mean, it's just those type of things. I love to see it. Like, and maybe I'm just, a big underdog fan in the sense, but like texting you guys when Nicaragua was up and it was looking like in that first game, hey, they might be able to pull something off. Now, obviously they fell apart, but it's just like, for me as a baseball fan in general, even outside of the US, I mean, I'm going to pull for them no matter what. But seeing some of these other teams, like, it's fun to see Brazil hang in there for a little bit. Made me nervous, and I think that's what baseball should be about, and that's why I think these moments are special.
That Nicaragua-Netherlands game as a whole was just, it's special because they're two bottom seed teams.
Yeah.
Like, both of them are not expected to be any good, but Nicaragua has yet to win a game in this tournament since they've been there, and they were right there. So, like, but then, the Netherlands aren't that good either, and it's a big deal that they got their only win probably of the tournament. But then you see the Nicaraguan pitcher just like the devastation that he feels, and then you have Ozzy Albies of like the most oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean, like even with like Korea, I mean, who they clinched because they scored enough runs, and then you look across the way at Australia and the players sitting in the dugout, and you see just the devastation because for them it was almost, I mean, a foregone conclusion. I think the probability probably sat in the high 80s for them to advance, and it was just the Korea just did what they needed to do.
The glove throw up is what sorry, Mike.
You're right.
Just keep interrupting you.
No, you actually kind of went into where I was going to go was Chinese Taipei. Whenever they got their first win of the tournament, to keep them alive, and like the entire team was in tears because they still had a shot, and it was like the emotions of that, just like these full-grown men just like bawling on the field in a game that honestly, obviously doesn't end up mattering down the stretch, but just to win one game, that meant everything to those guys, and that was super cool to see.
Yeah, my next one, I don't want to breeze past that Chinese Taipei game because that was really cool. That was it the first baseman who he caught the ball as soon as he caught it to get the force out at first, just threw the glove up in the air. Super cool. My next one is actually Team Italy. has been really, really fun to watch. They have a lot of like really fun players. Obviously, Pasquantino is on there.
Yeah.
Sagasi from the Cardinals is there, but I would say Pasquatch is probably the most known player on that team. But their offense is just like trucking. And now I do feel like they're in the same seed as the U.S. and Brazil and Great Britain exist, and those teams aren't good. Brazil's pitching is, it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, Italians, baseball is not an Italian sport.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you could argue that a lot of these players are U.S. or North American players with Italian heritage, but it still means a lot to them, like to put on, to represent a family member. But like the fun stuff they're doing, I remember in an interview, Pasquantino was like, "Well, everybody has a celebration. What are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna?" And he's like, "Dude, I'm just gonna make espresso." And so like the espresso shots that they put together, the video montages of when it first started, of like, because he's brewing it as soon as the home run happens, so it's just like piping hot, so these kids get there and they're just spitting it out because it's burning the crap out of their mouth. And then I believe it's the Brewers' first round pick from last year, I'm forgetting his name, was one of the latest videos from yesterday's game. After he hits a home run, he's the most pumped out of his mind, just sprinting the bases, sprinting in the dugout, and the announcer was on the call. He's like, "He's not going to need any espresso. Look at this kid, man!" And he gets in there, and like then Pasquantino does the Italian kiss on the face for each one. I think that's a great situation of like, there's not a big expectation for that team, but they're taking advantage of it, and they're going to just have a lot of fun, and their offense is actually pretty good. It's got a lot of good underrated players on it. Dominic Canzone, and then who is Caglione is on there. Some crazy baseballs. So their team has just been fun. Really fun. And you can't having Jorge Posada as a coach, and then Cervelli. Thank you. Both former Yankees. Helping these kids figure out how to hit. And Cervelli, I found out in an interview, the Talking Baseball guys interviewed him. He's been living in Italy for the last couple of years, trying to get Italian baseball leagues going, and he's driving around the country, trying to get little different leagues started to get that game propped up there. Which, man, how incredible is that for this tournament to bring that sport more so even to Italy and whatever happens this year. But they've been really, really fun.
That's sick.
Brian,
I'll go with my next one, and I'll just say that, like, for me, I mean, this is basically, I don't care if it's MLB or the World Baseball Classic, but it is O'Neal Cruz. The man is absolutely inhuman. Like, if he could figure out whatever he's got going on right now and take it to the Pirates, like, he's going to be insane. I was even watching the other night, and like, this is a 6'7" guy that's running in from center field too, calling off some of these infielders to make some of these catches, and the infielders are looking back at him, and I'm like, dude, just get out of the way. He is going to step on you coming in, and then to see him hit it 114, 120 miles an hour, and I'm like, I don't even want to be the fan on the front row that's trying to snag the line drive home runs.
No,
not at all.
Well, and he's a guy you think of that it's like, some of these guys, they've been around other great players, but, him and Skeens are both kind of in the same boat. Like, they haven't had anywhere, outside of each other, these like unicorns or special type players to play with. It's just been kind of bottom, level players or, guys that are on their way trying to ascend up but aren't there yet. And so for both these guys, I mean, I hope they're both acting like sponges right now and just absorbing everything from these other guys. I don't know that there's a lot Skeens can learn from many people right now with as good as he's done his first couple of years, but I'm sure there's something he could take, for at some point when he inevitably is pitching in the playoffs at some point, whether it's with the Pirates or, Yankees or whoever it is. But yeah, it's super cool seeing O'Neal Cruz actually.
Team you randomly threw out there.
Yeah. My next one's it was a Schwarber bomb. The U.S. is really kind of came out the gate struggling a little bit in that game. Not really putting hits together, and then all of a sudden they get a little foot traffic, and the man just lives for the moment in these special tournaments, playoffs, everything. He's the exact opposite of a guy who fades when the spotlight's on him. Kyle Schwarber just turns into like all your favorite best players in one when he's up there at the plate, and that mammoth shot he hit was just unbelievable. I mean, it was the thing. It looked like it was going to touch the roof. It comes down at basically the back of the stadium, and of course that place is going nuts because it's being played here in the U.S. But it just felt right that Kyle Schwarber was the guy of all people. And that's going to outshine the fact that Gunnar Henderson went 4 for 5 in the game and played absolutely
right.
And it's probably the guy on the U.S. that showed the most emotion so far.
Yeah.
When he sprinted that double, he was pumped.
The luxury of being able to have a guy like that on your bench because the best in the game is also on your bench. So it's ridiculous.
So I have a funny story about that particular moment. I was watching the game. Fawn and I were watching a show upstairs, and I had the game on my computer in front of me. And since it was Saturday night, I take a shower before Sundays. So because of the moment in the game, I was like, all right, now is probably the best time. So I took my laptop down. We have a bathroom downstairs, and I took my laptop and set it on the what are the heck those things called? The sink or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm getting in the shower, and I can kind of peek through the curtain and see the computer every once in a while, and I can hear it. And I'm like, Clement, scored on that wild pitch, came 1-1, and then Schwarber was up at the plate, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh, this is it. And I was like, and it made me think of that 2023 moment when there was that one guy that came through on the audio and was like, Schwarber. So I was just in the shower. I wish I had this recorded for proof, but I was literally like, Schwarber. And then I look through, and then he hits one, and I can hear the call. I just start screaming in the shower. And Fawn came down. She checked on me. She's like, I thought something was wrong with you. I was like, no, he hit for a home run. I screamed. I mean, it was so good.
That's incredible.
So pumped.
I love it.
Is it my turn?
I love it.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go for it. What's the next one you got?
I got 1.5. One small mention I'll mention is the Contreras brothers on Team Venezuela. Wilson was on. He was on the Cubs, obviously. He played for the Cardinals over the past few seasons, and the dude just got pooped on from the team for a while, and he just took it, and he's just you kind of fell in love with him as a Cardinal fan for just the few years that he was here, but then you could see how special him and his brother's relationship is, especially since you get to see them in games together with William on the Brewers, and now he's in Boston, so it's a different league, but you got to see that. But then getting to see them in the same lineup and first baseman and him and the catcher, I think that's kind of special. It's just really fun to see. I'm a big Venezuelan fan. They're my sleeper pick. But yeah, that's just really fun. It's kind of a small thing, but that's really fun. I just realized my next one was the Schwarber home run, but we just kind of talked about that. So Brian,
it's all good. Yeah, no, and I think this one will probably tag into Michael's. We were talking about it a little bit, but Trace Thompson. How can you not love that play in that game? You referenced it right before all the fireworks started going in the way of U.S. Will Smith hits a rope. It's going out. There's no doubt it's a game-tying home run. And he just I love the calls. I've seen a couple of videos, and they're kind of humor videos driven where it's the swings of the game. And it's all the, people are cheering as he's flying through the air and makes the grab. And it's just but it's that's what's so special again about this. It's just fun to watch people really make those plays. And then his pitcher on the mound, you could just see the relief that set in as soon as he makes that catch.
Yeah. I forgot the one I was going to mention. I think the DR as a whole, the amount of hype that they've always had because of how much talent is always, comes from that country, then gets asked to play. The last WBC in 23, they didn't even make it out of pool play. They just they pooped.
Yeah.
And this year you can just tell like it is a big deal. But I also think, like I've said it from the beginning, like Pujols is a difference maker in that dugout when there's, going back to the whole family thing, like when there is someone that is that important to the game of baseball, like Pujols in Major League Baseball he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer in a year. That's a big deal. So all of those kids are, they're little kids next to this giant statue. You know what I mean? And so seeing them play with that much passion, like I wasn't expecting to be interested in DR as much as I have, because the amount of passion and emotion that they're playing with, and they're taking it seriously. And like Vladdy I remember the very first exhibition practice game that DR had. I forget who it was, but they were actually in the Dominican Republic. It was against Detroit. They had 2 games to warm up. As just exhibition prep. Vladdy's emotion when the first round through the order, because he's batting fourth, he's like just screaming he's like, no, stay on base, don't, like just the emotion he had is like, oh, you can tell these kids are taking this super seriously, and it's like really important. So the DR, and they're just fun to watch. Them in Puerto Rico are just like, man, they eat,
Yachty,
sleep,
baby.
And breathe. Yeah. I mean, I hope we do get in some sort of fashion like a a DR versus Puerto Rico. Obviously the script wants it, but the numbers have to point out. But both of those teams, they're just fun to watch. Super fun to watch.
Yeah, Michael, what do you got?
Yeah, I was just going to say to that point, I mean, you have a bunch of really skilled, high-level players on the Dominican team, but a lot of them have never won anything. And as much as I hate to admit it, the Cardinals won a whole lot of baseball when Albert Pujols was there, and he was obviously the biggest reason for that. And so, I mean, he's not only a guy that obviously is going to be a Hall of Famer, he's a guy who's a winner. And, I think some of that is kind of coming through for these young guys.
I secretly hope that Tatis shows up and appears in the Cardinals trade or something.
Oh man, did you see what he did?
That does not happen.
You see the grand slam?
Yeah, I did. I cried.
Ah man,
I cried like a baby.
He would look so good in red, Cardinal red. Sure, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, he sure would.
But
I think blue would look better.
I digress. Yeah, no, don't put him in blue. Nah.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
I think one of my favorite moments. So the Czech Republic will always have, just like our Czechia, will always hold like this special place in my heart. So for those of you who are more casual fans, kind of coming into it, a lot of people fell in love with them at the last WBC because all the social media got a hold of the fact that basically every player on that team holds just your random every day-to-day job. Yep. And, you got guys that are a principal of a school and like a journeyman electrician and all this and stuff. And so watching those guys, it's just really special because like you said, Tim, they're not going to win this thing. They are aware they are not going to win this thing. But at the last World Baseball Classic, the one guy struck out Shohei Ohtani, the best player in the world, got struck out by like a teacher or something. And it's like, that was super cool to see. But one of my favorite, just really funny moments was one of the Czech guys came up as he was getting ready to bat, and he reaches out his hand to shake his hand with the catcher from Australia. Yeah. And the Australian guy just stares at him, and he's like, it was no knock on the guy. He's like, I'm just a competitive guy, and that was like a competitive thing. That's why I didn't shake his hand. But it was just super funny.
Yeah, he was so locked
because the guy's just standing there, and then finally just was like, all right, I guess we're gonna go up to the ad.
I guess we're gonna go hit.
Yeah, they were locked. They were locked in. That's the beautiful thing, I think, more so than this tournament, but baseball. Like a good pitcher can shut down the best hitters in the world. And the 2 U.S. games so far haven't been super competitive just because the other teams they're not that good. Great Britain and Brazil are not that good, but that doesn't mean the U.S. teams can hit them really well.
Yeah.
it is interesting to see the different personalities, maybe not personalities, but different, what is the word, like thought processes for hitting, because, you know, the U.S., they're a disciplined hitting team.
Yeah.
They're they got 17 walks in that Brazil game. Like, that's stupid, that number of walks. But Dominican, they're good, they're disciplined, but not to that same level. They're swinging for everything, and they're hitting, you know, 3 times as many home runs.
Yeah.
But so it is interesting to see the different personalities and why, like, sometimes those Brazil pitchers are going to shut them down because they have a game plan. They're disciplined with their game plan, and it could throw them off kind of.
Yeah, well, that, and, you know, I mean, velocity. I mean, a lot of your MLB guys are so used to, you know, 90 plus, and then all of a sudden you get a guy in here who's barely throwing 83. I mean, I'm trying to find some lineage in my past where I could tie it to, like, check, so I could go play and just say 100%. I was a part of a World Baseball Classic. Haven't had any luck with that yet. So, I mean, somebody wants to do some digging for me, let me know. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's so hard for them to adjust. And I think, you know, for the U.S., I think that's why you see the patience. I think you'll start to see it change, obviously, starting tonight with Mexico, because they're going to be a little bit more refined, and they're going to force them to swing the bat a little bit more. They're not going to be able to be as patient. So we'll see what that holds. But, I mean, it's just great. You know, it's so fun to watch when you get a guy who's, you know, pumping 83, and that's everything he's got in the tank. And then here comes a 65-mile-an-hour changeup, and the batter just cannot fathom something that slow.
Yep. Well, and too, like, not to belabor the point, but so many pitchers are not, you know, they can get so wrapped up in who they're facing, so they get so nervous, which means their command goes. And so they're like, you can't find the strike zone, but then all of a sudden, oh shoot, 3 pitches. He struck me out because he found the strike zone, and there's 3. Right. But I was expecting it to go over there and over there. And so, oh man, it's special.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because those guys, it's almost like the guys that are actually major league pitchers have struggled more than the guys that nobody has any tape on, because those guys come in and those guys don't know what this guy throws or how many pitches he's got and stuff. Whereas, you know, we see a guy who finished his second in the Cy Young last year, got, you know, kind of dominated by a team he shouldn't have. And it's like, what the heck is going on here? And then, like I said, you got this random, you know, plumber out here, and he's throwing a clean inning, and it's like, okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah. Baseball's weird, brother. Baseball's weird.
How can you not be romantic about baseball, right? Well, that got weird. Let's move on to the next. I think we're going to wrap this up, but Brian, before we do our predictions, I think you have a good schedule and like a good way for certain games to be paying attention to. So lay that down for us.
Yeah, I mean, go through the standings real quick. I mean, you guys shout out anything, but I mean, the 2 that are pretty much wrapped up, I'll start with obviously Pool C, which is the Tokyo bracket, which we all already know. I mean, Japan and Korea.
I got to pause you real quick.
Go for it.
Wilson Contreras just came out and said there's more pressure playing in the WBC than in the MLB in the playoffs.
I would believe that, because for some of these nations, you don't provide results. You might have some assassins headed your way. I'm just saying.
Anyway, sorry. Continue with what you're saying.
No, I mean, so Pool C, Tokyo. We know Japan, they own that. They're going to probably continue to own that for a while. The big surprise there, not really a surprise, but was the way that Korea ended up winning it. They had to score the 5 runs for the tiebreaker, because them, Australia, and Taipei were all tied at 2-2 as a record, which is crazy to think. But so those 2 are going to advance. The big one, Pool D, which is in Miami. I mean, as long as Venezuela, who's playing right now against Nicaragua, and they're up 1-0, they win that game. Both of them are advancing, but it will be fun on Wednesday night to watch that game, because they play each other as the final pool game. So whoever was setting the schedules, they, at least for pool play, knew what they were doing. Like, they were smart enough to put some things in place. Because whoever wins, that'll be the one, or the winning, you know, the 1 seed out of Pool D, which will be fun. And that one. And then this is where it gets intriguing in the last 2, is because we'll go to Pool A, which is the San Juan. It's Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Canada. Those 3 teams are still in it. Colombia and Panama, even though they're 1-3, they've eliminated themselves. But the craziness is Puerto Rico's playing both Cuba and Panama still. And depending on what happens, with that matchup, the Cuba-Canada game, which is slated, I believe, I think it's Tuesday. I'll have to double check that real quick. No, Canada-Puerto Rico Tuesday. So then Wednesday would be the Canada-Cuba game. So if things line up, again, Wednesday could be a big day for the WBC just because of the way it slates out, because that'll become a big game because one of those 3 teams at this point is going to be vying for that second spot. It could be Puerto Rico. I mean, Puerto Rico is not in the clear at this point either, just because, they're 2-0. They lose the next 2 games. They could be the team on the outside looking in. So, that slate's going to be good. And I think for all of us, the big one is simply this. Brazil and Great Britain are out. But in Pool B, you still have Mexico, Italy, and the U.S. all sitting at 2-0. But here's where it gets fun. If USA can hold the slate and they win tonight against Mexico and then tomorrow night against Italy, it sets up Wednesday night. Well, it'll be in the evening, but Italy versus Mexico with a winner advances. And again, when you look at the schedule, those 3 games, you couldn't ask for a better slate if you are WBC. You've got Canada, Cuba at 3 on FS2, Italy, Mexico. Telling you, they better change it. It's at 6:00 Central, 7:00 Eastern, but it's on Tubi. They better put that on a national broadcast.
Yeah.
If it is a winner go home game right there. And then obviously the big one on FS1, Fox Sports 1, is the Dominican Venezuela game, which again, the way it looks right now, it's going to be whoever wins that game is going to be the winner of that bracket. And so that pool bracket. So obviously that's going to be a big one there. And Sandy Alcantara is slated to throw that one. So we'll see. They haven't announced for Venezuela yet. So
Brian, how are you going to get out of work on Wednesday night?
Oh, dude, I can make up some reason to be sitting out in the lobby and watching a game. I can still be there, but not be in group. We'll let the groups manage themselves on Wednesday night.
Ronald Acuna bomb. So it is. You did make an interesting thing about how the pools have slightly changed up, and they did that on purpose, and it's 100% on purpose because they're trying to get the DR, the U.S., Japan, and X other team, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, or somebody in the final. What they want, Mexico maybe, because Canada was in the pool with U.S. and Great Britain last time.
Yes.
They moved them to the Puerto Rican pool to bring Brazil into this pool. And so it's like, oh, yeah, they're trying to script it as much as possible. And it's what everybody wants.
Right.
Everybody wants the U.S. versus DR or U.S. versus Japan for the final game.
Right. And again, depending on how – this is the fun of it all. Depending on how the pool brackets end up finalizing, there is still an opportunity for both of those to happen. If the DR ends up winning it, and the U.S. stays number one, if both of them are number one in their brackets, unfortunately, they're going to run into each other in the semifinals. But that means Japan's on the other side of that. Now, if somehow Venezuela ends up taking the top bracket there with the way some other things could land, there's still a small possibility that the DR and U.S. could find themselves in the final, which I think everybody would absolutely want at this point. No slight to Japan. They're still a great team. They still got great pitching, but they're not the juggernaut they were in 2023 at this point. And so, I think, the money game for MLB as a whole and the World Baseball Classic would be U.S. versus the Dominican for that final game.
You basically have two all-star rosters.
Yep.
100%. Right.
But the thing about it is who's got the better pitching, right? Who's got the better bullpen? Because those starters are getting pulled out of there pretty quick.
Unless you're Skeens, baby. He's going 9, baby.
He's going 9. Holy cow. So it is interesting. Japan and Korea are finalized so far. So
yeah, and they're on
currently-
opposite ends.
Yeah, they're on opposite in the opposite not division, but opposite
Brackets.
league. You could think about
Yeah.
it. I kind of think I'd be interested to get your guys' opinion. Tonight's game with US and Mexico, I don't want to put a ton of like pressure, but I feel like this is the determining game of the one or two because Italy's a little bit of a sleeper, man. Like Italy's offense and Mexico's offense are kind of in the same circle, and both of
Yeah.
their sets of pitching is kind of just like middle.
Yeah.
And obviously the U.S. Mexico game tonight, as we're recording, is a big deal because Mexico has beat us since 2013. We are Mexico's undefeated against the U.S. in the WBC since I think it is 2013, and so the U.S. wants to stop that streak. Mexico obviously wants to keep the streak going. So whatever game comes out of that, one team is going to be 2-1. So
Yeah.
Italy is going to, what are they going to do to either of those teams? Like Italy and Mexico is a really good matchup. Like I think the U.S. outslugs Italy because the U.S.'s pitching is that good.
Yeah.
Because Italy's offense has been great, but they faced mediocre pitching. They have yet to face elite pitching.
Yeah.
But at the same time, kind of the point we were talking about earlier, like game planning and what is the word for having video on our team? I'm blanking on. I'm having a brain fart right now. All of US's pitching they have video of.
Yeah.
Right.
So teams can plan against it better, but at the same time, it's elite pitching.
Yeah.
So I kind of think tonight's game is a little bit more of an indicator of like if the U.S. can beat Mexico tonight, man, I kind of think Mexico's out just because Italy and Mexico is a complete toss-up, and like which one of their offenses is going to be better.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Go ahead,
The
Michael.
reason I wouldn't say that, playing devil's advocate, hopefully the U.S. wins, obviously, but
Right.
the reason I wouldn't say Mexico's necessarily out is they have a lot more experience than the Italian team has.
Sure, for sure.
Obviously, the Italian team has a ton of really good young players, but Mexico, do those guys tighten up a little bit when they know that they're playing for it? But also, there is a scenario where we see all three teams end up at 3-1 or whatever that plays out to. So that's where some of this, where you're seeing these inflated scores, and seemingly, for the folks that are just tuning in, where we saw a move for Korea bumping Australia out and stuff, where we need the U.S. to score a lot of runs or not give up many runs in these games, because you don't want to get into a situation where Australia was sitting pretty, but they happened to give up that one extra run that they couldn't give up, and so they didn't get to move on because of that. So, yeah, it's pretty sweet matchup between those three teams. Obviously, looking on paper, the U.S. should take it, but
I don't know.
the Dominican Republic looked like they were going to run through everybody at the last one, and like you said, they didn't even get out of pool play. So,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be tough. The one thing I appreciate, and Michael, you'll enjoy this, I saw a report that as soon as Bregman got put on the U.S. team and was in the text thread with all the hitters, he was finding film on every pitcher he could and sent it to the hitters on U.S.
Yep. So to wrap this up, I know we can't fully complete a prediction because the brackets are kind of weird. The way that the way that seeding works with runs versus wins.
Right.
But I would say it'd be really fun to predict quarterfinals and semifinals because we'll have one more episode before the actual final game.
yeah.
What do we think's going to happen, boys? So again, Japan and Korea are the only ones guaranteed. Tonight we'll guarantee, I guess. I think the U.S. will get guaranteed either way. U.S. or Mexico either way, right?
Well, I mean, yes and no on some levels, because the U.S., this will be their third game, so they'll be 3-1. So if let's say they win, they beat Mexico, they're 3-1. Mexico's 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
They would then have to beat Italy to secure their spot in that.
Correct.
Because the
That's what I'm
U.S.
saying,
would have
tonight's
to
game,
beat.
Or vice versa. If the U.S. loses, they have to beat Italy.
They have to beat Italy, but so you got to think about it, because all three teams are sitting at 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to play each other essentially. So there is a world in which it could be 3-1, and it comes down to tiebreakers. It'd be crazy.
Which would be, I believe, is a runs.
Yeah, it would be
score
crazy.
tiebreakers.
And I mean, I could look it up, but I'm not really skilled because, like, let's say U.S. beats Mexico, but then Italy beats the U.S. and then Mexico beats Italy, and they're all sitting there with one loss, and it comes down to
Right.
runs at that point. So that's why, like, it's important for U.S. tonight. Obviously, aside from the streak, I think that's going to be enough to get it done. That they
Right,
just go ahead and take care of business and win both of these games. Now, you know, they put themselves in a much better situation if they win tonight versus losing, just because then those teams, it's really going to come down to those teams playing each other is going to knock the other one out at the end of the day.
I would say, too, that's why you're seeing starters stay in longer, because scoring runs is important for seeding. So, like, you know, managers are pulling their starters to give rest because, hey, we need to score more runs. Eliminate our mercy rules, but also the run score rule. So what do we think the quarterfinals and semifinals are going to go? Let's throw some predictions out there.
Yeah, so like the things we know, so one quarterfinal will be Korea, which is the runner-up. They're going to face whoever the Pool D winner is. So Pool D
is the Dominican and Venezuela.
Yes.
Basically.
So whichever one you think is going to win that's where they're going to land. Which is, again, it makes it really interesting, man. Like, I'm just saying. And then the Pool D runner-up is going to face Japan. So one of those, they're going those directions. And then that's going to be the flip-flop for two. I don't know which side they'll end up being on, but then it'll be the winner of A versus the runner-up of B, and the winner of B versus the runner-up of A.
So currently it's probably Venezuela's going to win.Ey're facing Nicaragua tonight. The Dominican plays. I forget who they play tomorrow.
No, they play Venezuela on Wednesday. Yeah. So
so they have the day off tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
And then they both play each other, and so whoever wins that is going to face Korea. Whoever loses it is going to go play Japan.
Yeah, so it's what I'm going to say. Okay, so the winner of the pool faces who?
The winner of the pool faces Korea.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's going to be Korea versus DR and Japan
I
versus
agree.
Venezuela.
I agree. So there you go. There's your first two.
Okay.
So then let's just who you got in that? Korea versus DR.
I mean
DR.
Yeah. They're running away with that one.
Okay, now we'll move to, because we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah.
It's Venezuela versus Japan.
That's a really good game, of which there are two very opposite teams. You have a disciplined team and you have a really superstar-oriented team.
See, we were all looking at Venezuela, and we were all like, there's a chance that team's going to be pretty good. And they've really put on a show. You did. And they really put on a show.
Man, that's really hard because who's pitching? Venezuela doesn't have the greatest pitching.
Yep.
And I mean, Japan's top 3 or 4 hitters are very, very good. Suzuki, Yoshida, Shohei, obviously.
But they struggled against Australia.
Japan did?
Yeah.
Didn't they beat them, though?
4-3.
They did.
Still, they beat them. I don't know. You guys got to pick that one first because I have emotional investment in it.
It's okay. You that's the beauty of this. You said you like the emotion and the passion.
I know, but
just go with it, brother. Go with it.
Venezuela. I want Venezuela to win that game.
Yeah.
I think the opposite. I mean, I'd love to see Venezuela do it. I just think Japan's honestly the better team of those two.
They're way more disciplined.
Yes.
Way more disciplined.
And I think they'll end up winning. I agree.
Okay.
I think.
No,
go ahead.
Potential. Let's flip it. Say Venezuela wins the pool.
I think they beat Korea.
Yeah, Venezuela beats Korea. DR beats
I think
Japan.
DR beats Japan. I do.
So there, in no way can Venezuela and DR have a quarter or a semi. It has to be a final game.
Right, right.
The one thing that is a factor, I think, that we hadn't mentioned is the fact that Japan and Korea both have to travel to the U.S. to come play.
Yep. But it's decided, though, they get early travel.
Yeah, they're already on their way.
They do. They do, but these other guys are already playing in that city, most likely.
Right,
so,
right.
Well, actually, one of them will have been.
But we're going with Korea versus DR and Japan versus Venezuela.
Yeah, I think that's it, because that's saying that DR will win against Venezuela on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think Japan probably does beat them because of discipline versus not.
All right, here's where it gets fun, because the other side of this, the quarterfinals, could be any of this setup. It could be Puerto Rico versus Mexico. It could be Puerto Rico versus Italy. I mean, if the U.S. falls apart, it could be Puerto Rico versus the U.S. Or flip it. It's going to be the U.S. versus Canada, Cuba, or Puerto Rico. Like, if U.S. wins it, they're going to play the runner-up from Pool A. And then the winner from Pool A will play the runner-up of Pool B.
So last year it was the U.S. versus Cuba in a quarter.
Yep.
And the Cuba got smoked. Cuba's doing really well though again. It's probably Pool A is probably going to end up being Puerto Rico and Cuba.
Okay.
In no way can Panama's already out of it.
Yeah, Panama and Colombia are out. Canada's the only one. No, they could still pull it off.
Can they?
And the Canada could take the 2 seed. I don't think they can get back up to the 1, but I think they could take the 2. Because Cuba and Puerto Rico, they're in a rain delay. They haven't started. They played a night. So one of those teams is getting a loss. So they will be 2-1.
It says the DR has officially advanced to the quarterfinal already.
Right, because they're 3-0 because of their pool bracket. Their pool bracket, no one else. They're in D. They're in Pool D.
No, I know. So the winner's not determined, though.
No, they're just already into the quarterfinals. So Venezuela wins tonight, they're in the quarterfinals.
It already says that they've advanced. Venezuela's advanced.
Yeah, because they're
winner versus 2 seed.
Right.
Yeah.
So the 1 and 2 seed has to be determined in that. Pool C, it's already been determined.
Puerto Rico and Cuba is going to be a really good game, but I think Puerto Rico is probably better.
Okay, so they win it. So then Puerto Rico's in the driver's seat. Let's say they're the 1 seed in Pool A. Then they're gonna play the 2 seed in Pool B, which I think both of us would agree, or all 3 of us, I should say, is likely to be Mexico. Tim, you might disagree with that.
Yeah.
And pick Italy?
Yes.
I think it's probably Mexico.
Okay, so I'm saying U.S. is 1, Mexico is 2. So it looks like it's going to be U.S. versus Cuba again, quarterfinal, Puerto Rico versus Mexico, and the other quarterfinal.
Oh, that's going to be a good game, too.
So what you got? Mexico, Puerto Rico.
U.S. versus Cuba is easy. U.S. beats Cuba.
Yes, I agree.
But Mexico versus Puerto Rico is interesting. Where would that game be played? Miami or Houston? I think it's
that
Miami,
game.
Right? No, that one's in Houston.
Houston. They're in Houston. Yep.
Oh man.
I think I'm taking Mexico.
Are you?
I'll be honest with you. I think there's a real shot Cuba beats Puerto Rico.
Really?
Yep. Puerto Rico's not been super impressive. Now, given I think that they just have a better grouping that they're playing with too. But like the game against Colombia, I think they won 5-0, but all those runs came in 1 inning. Literally, all 5 runs came in 1 inning, and the rest of the game they were pretty meh. So, but I think Mexico beats Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So Mexico over Puerto Rico?
Yep.
I'm leaning that way, even though I want Puerto Rico to advance, but I do think Mexico's probably a better team.
Then it would be Puerto Rico versus the U.S. if you're saying that. Are you?
No.
You're saying the quarterfinal? Mexico beats Puerto Rico. Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry. Yep. Okay. So then
go ahead.
It's hard to tell because they don't necessarily have it set which side of the bracket that the of those two. I mean, you could see then DR versus US. That's kind of where that semifinal lands, which would then leave Mexico versus Japan.
Yeah.
On the other side.
For semis?
Yes, that would be the two semi.
Amazing games.
And it's kind of crazy to say. You don't want to see the U.S. lose, but I would rather face Japan this year than the Dominican Republic in the semifinals, to be honest with you. Yes.
I would in the semis. I don't know. That would be a matchup of all matchups. So if finals or semis, it doesn't matter because it's just single games anyway.
Correct.
Right. They're games, but yeah, that at least the way it is slated, it looks like it would be U.S. Dominican in a semi and Mexico Japan. Now, if they want to get clever as the World Baseball Classic, because this is why they just have TBD, they don't have it really spelled out.
Right.
They can shift some things.
Japan beat Mexico last year in the semis, so.
So for me, if that is how it slates out, man, that's so tough. I think we see a rematch of 2023.
Agreed.
So you think the U.S. beats the DR?
Yeah, I do.
I think the U.S.'s pitching is quite a bit better.
Yes. I think the 100%. I think the pitching holds pat because it'll be a big deal.
And
then we'll see U.S.
Really
Japan.
Any holes in the batting lineup. That's the big thing. Like, there's obvious huge holes in the batting lineup.
It's in Miami, right? Semis and finals are Miami. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Everything goes to Miami once we get past the quarters. And so it'll be interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a very competitive game. Like, I don't think it's a walk. Now, if somehow they flip it, it could be DR versus Japan and U.S. versus Mexico.
Oh, that's the worst case scenario for the U.S., to be honest with you.
So there is, but they tend not to do that because they try not to get the matchups of the pool play in the semis. And so, to give every bracket an opportunity to have somebody compete.
I think they want. What do you think they want if there was a script? U.S. versus Japan or U.S. versus DR in the final?
I mean, redemption says U.S. versus Japan, right? Because you want the redemption piece. My take is it's going to be a much more watched game, at least from U.S. standpoint. If it's U.S. and Dominican. I can't say worldwide. Obviously, Japan's got a big pool of people that if they're in the finals, no matter who they play in the finals, it's gonna be watched. I think if the U.S. doesn't make the finals, it's gonna be disappointing. They're gonna lose some viewership.
Yeah.
But I think the core of MLB watchers will still watch the final because they'll want to see the Dominican take on Japan.
So that's the secondary question. What do you think would be better for baseball? U.S. versus Japan
U.S.
or
versus
Dominican?
DR?
U.S. versus DR?
Yeah, that'd be the best thing for baseball.
Not DR versus Japan?
No.
I think the people are getting kind of tired of seeing Japan there. Japan's won 3 out of the 5.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but the first two were the first 2 years, or 2 tourneys. That was a long time ago.
Right.
Japan was bad for a long time.
I mean, people will love Japan just because, again, you're talking Shohei. Even though he's not going to pitch, he's going to hit. He's going to draw a crowd. There's going to be electric. Yeah, it's just. They'll
Dodgers
be fine.
want them out in the quarterfinals.
yes, they do. Me personally, just because there is more MLB talent laid on the DR and the US. Yeah, that's going to be where the money is. Because then you're basically, it's a all-star game that has meaning, brother.
A lot of meaning.
It's got some juice flowing for that game. That's a Game 7 World Series game right there.
Somehow Skubal is pitching in that game.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the DR, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Well, that's our predictions, I guess. We'll get another episode in before the actual final happens, so we'll know exactly how our bracket shook up. But I guess, guys, thanks for listening. Let us know in the comments what you think the brackets are going to be. What's some of your favorite moments from the tournament so far? Are you enjoying it? Do you not even know what's going on? which would be really sad. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people in the world.
Still time to tune in.
That's
Yeah,
right. Go
very
watch
much
some
so.
replays, baby. They got
It's
the quick
about-
game recaps.
Yeah, it's about to get really intense too because elimination games start happening.
Yep.
But thanks for listening, guys. We will see you in the next episode. I think we're gonna get out next week. So thanks for listening, guys.